It's okay to call Western Kentucky a group of six powerhouse. Tyson Helton had a 5-7 season in 2020. Other than that, his Hiltipper teams have won 8 or more games in his other 6 seasons. They're always in the Conference USA title mix, and they're 5-2 in bowl games. They're about to do it all over again. Copyright Joseph Mariana USA Today Sports. There's a lot of work to do on both sides of the ball, with transfers taking over on offense and backups ready to step up on defense. But the systems are in place, and the schedule should work just fine. Don't take this for granted. It's hard to keep doing this year after year when losing coordinators and players to bigger programs. Western Kentucky is among the top programs in the college football playoff era not to make the CFP, and it's because of what Helton is doing. Head coach Tyson Helton, 8th year, 57-36. Best case/worst case. Win the Conference USA Championship/win fewer than 8 games for the first time since 2020. Key player, Rodney Tisdale, QB Soph. 2025 record, 9-4. Biggest question. Can the production continue with so many transfers needing to be great right away? Total yards, WKU 5,287. Opponents 5,210. Red zone touchdowns, WKU 35 of 51, 69%. Opponents 17 of 49, 35%. Fourth quarter scoring, WKU 100. Opponents 41. Can Bodie Reeder continue to keep the Western Kentucky offense humming? The program loses offensive coordinators on a yearly basis, and the pressure is on after coming in from a Middle Tennessee attack that struggled throughout last season. Even harder will be the job of putting this all together with an almost all-new offensive line. It's Western Kentucky. The quarterback play will be great. Maverick McIver is gone after a nice season overall, but he didn't run much. Rodney Tisdale has that spark, and he's generally accurate, but he has to settle into the job. That's not a given with Brock Glenn, a veteran from Florida State who has the ability to make the Ogo. It's Western Kentucky. The passing offense will work. It was number 1 in passing in Conference USA in 2021, and 2022, and 2023 and 2024 before dropping back a bit to 3rd in 2025 thanks to newcomers Delaware and Missouri State. But it led the league in completion percentage, hitting 65.7%. It's Western Kentucky. The receivers will be stars. Katie Hutchinson is back after coming up with a team-high 66 catches for 618 yards and 3 scores. The players are coming in through the portal, with monster-producing veteran Josiah Rockwell, Prairie View A&M, stepping in along with Zion Taylor, Georgia Tech, and Quavez Humphreys from the JUCO ranks. The offensive line. It wasn't a killer last season, especially in pass protection, but it was good enough to lose a few of the key players in the portal. Senior Karsten Upchurch will likely start at right tackle. Other than him, everyone else up front will be transfers. They're all upperclassmen, at least the likely starters will be, but this will take some work. The top backs are done too. The ground attack isn't just along for the ride in the Hiltipper attack now. It loses close to 1,400 yards of rushing and 16 touchdowns without Marvis Parrish, Lavelle Wright. He ran for 10 scores and George Hart 3. The offense needs Ajay Allen, Tulsa, and Caleb Hicks, Oklahoma State, to at least average over 5 yards per pop. The turnovers. Interceptions are part of the cost of doing business in this offense. But the Hilltoppers threw 13 and lost the ball 21 times overall. They turned it over multiple times in 8 games. Josiah Rockwell, WR Senior, the 6'2", 214-pound transfer from Prairie View A&M, knows how to catch passes. He was okay for a few years at Sam Houston, but last year with the Panthers he caught 74 balls for 1,161 yards and 8 scores. He'll find a place in this receiving core. Davis Merritt goes from handling the linebackers to taking on the defensive coordinator job. He knows the team and the personnel just fine. Really, he does, at least compared to the coaches for the offensive side, with everyone needing name tags after coming in from the portal. This is an experienced enough defense to once again get the job done, and that means keeping points off the board. You want the definition of bending without breaking? That's the WKU defense that allowed over 400 yards per game, but had an incredible way of keeping most teams from scoring. It allowed 22.8 points per game, and that's partly because Toledo 45 points and Jacksonville State 37 points broke the curve. What the Hilltopper defense was insanely good at was keeping offenses out of the end zone. WKU allowed a ton of field goals because it was number 1 in the nation in red zone touchdown defense. You're doing something right if you're ahead of Ohio State and Indiana. The Hilltoppers allowed teams to score 6 just 34.7% of the time when getting inside the 20. The Buckeyes, Hoosiers, and East Carolina were the only other teams to keep that percentage under 40. There's real bulk up front. Tackle Jakeem Fletcher goes 312, Akron transfer Keawan Murphy hits 320, Seco Peters is a sandwich and chips away from 300, and Javon Griffin is a 305-pounder from Gardner-Webb. There will be a good rotation that should be tough to push through. Plenty of Hilltoppers are returning, but several of the key players are gone, starting with the linebacking core. The 1-2 tackling punch of Jalen Wester and Anthony Brackenridge is done after combining for 180 tackles with 12 tackles for loss. Number 3 linebacker Miller Malone is also done. Zach Smith and Jordan Donald each came up with 14 stops. They go from key backups to main men. The defensive front has to be replaced, too. Again, key parts of last year are back Vincent Sneed and Ellen Jones on the outside, Jakeem Fletcher on the inside, and they have enough experience to take on bigger roles. However, it does matter to lose Harper Holloman, West Virginia, Dominic Oliver, Jaden Gray, and Machiavelli Malatomo. However, even when those guys were around, WKU needed to do more with the pass rush. It needs to be better. The Hilltoppers only came up with 19 sacks on the season, continuing the steady decline in production that in 2021. WKU came up with 36 sacks, then 32 in 2022, then 24, 22, and then last year. There was an early 6-game stretch last season with just 2 sacks. Jalen Lewis, Senior Lewis spent 2 years at Arkansas and a season at Temple before coming over to the Hilltoppers, and then it all came together. The veteran safety made 74 tackles with 3 picks and 5 broken-up passes, and now he's one of the team's leaders in all ways for the rebuilt defense. Stop turning the ball over so much. The monster load of transfers has to take over on offense and bring the depth on defense. Be stronger against the run. Rodney Tisdale, QB sophomore, he has enough experience to be ready, and if he's not able to handle the full-time gig, Brock Glenn is right there ready to go. No matter what, in this offense, and for this team, nothing works unless the quarterback is one of Conference USA's biggest stars. That can be Tisdale, but he has to chill out on the picks after throwing 7 last season. Really, how fast can this offensive line come together? A dominant offensive line that needs to pass protect at a high level doesn't just get thrown together fast. The Hilltoppers will need every practice to figure out who out of the 11 new offensive linemen coming in from the portal can create a strong starting 5. At Liberty, November 21, the Hilltoppers get both Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State at home, and most of the Conference USA road schedule could be a relative breeze. Late in the season, if Liberty is good, this should matter for the conference championship race one way or another. The Hilltoppers suffered a slew of top talent losses, but after the Power 4 programs had their moment, everything settled in. Again, they went big to rebuild the offensive front, and locked in reserves for the defensive front 6, but the incoming skill parts will make the most noise. ROQ Montgomery, C. Alabama. It's not a lock that ROQ will get the gig, but Western Kentucky got a 6'3", 330-pound center from the Alabama Crimson Tide. He'll find a spot somewhere. Lawrence Seymour, OG, Texas. He's not that tall, but the 6'2", 320-pound guard can block. He was a big key to the 2025 Hilltopper line, and now he's expected to step right into the Texas front 5. Brock Glenn, QB, Florida State. Rhett Larson, OG, Sam Houston. Josiah Rockwell, WR, Prairie View A&M. The progression of the season should move almost perfectly. WKU needs time to get all the new pieces in place and get everyone in sync, and the beginning of the campaign just so happens to be the most brutal part. Just get it out of the way, and be ready when Conference USA play kicks in. At Nevada is doable, but it's a long early road trip. And then come the paycheck losses at Georgia and Indiana. At that point, the Hilltoppers get their reset win over Messiehist, and then it's game on. CFN prediction. 8-4 The team should be fully tuned up for the Conference USA opener at New Mexico State, and then comes the winning run. There will be a conference loss somewhere like at Liberty, but it'll be fine. The Hilltoppers will make it back to the Conference USA Championship for the second time in 3 years. Related, Conference USA Football 2026 win totals. Spring predictions for all 10 teams.